Apologies for that. We seem to have experienced some technical difficulties. Joining me now for a look at the day's market moves is Odwa Magwentshu from Trive Investments. Odwa, thanks so much for joining us today. I mean, there's quite a lot happening on the global front, but we have so much more happening here at home. It's another data-dependent week with traders exercising caution ahead of that U.S. jobs print. As I said in the first half, the U.S. markets are down. European markets are pretty mixed, awaiting Christine Lagarde's interest rates moves. Back at home, we also had some economic data out. We had growth numbers showing that the local economy expanded by 0.1% in the fourth quarter of 2023. The JSE not really moved by those numbers, but we saw some gains on the rand. Is the rand strength particularly because of that print?
Yes, thank you for having me today. I do believe that with regards to the rand, that the strengthening does come from that. I mean, it's a technical recession that we have just missed, and unlike our counterparts in the UK who've just fallen into it. So I think that helped us, and that's why the rand strengthening is you seeing there as well. You know, when you read more on what happened with the GDP numbers, you find that, you know, it was thanks to, I would say, the Springboks, where we had that period where we didn't have too much load shedding, and that the importance of electricity in the country is shown with this GDP print.
So you're saying we should have a Rugby World Cup every year, huh?
At least twice a month, every quarter.
Every quarter, no? Now, it's within this kind of environment that we've seen our local companies operating in, and we are seeing those earnings reports starting to trickle in. I want us to start off with Nedbank. I mean, the numbers came in positive. The lender delivered a 11% jump in HEPS, but that bad debts number also creeping up, rising 15%, just showing the kind of strain local consumers are facing, right?
Correct. I mean, consumers have been going through a very tough time, you know, with 2022, where the inflation rate rather rose up quite substantially, and now interest rates. So they're fighting two battles at the moment. You're fighting, you know, to afford what you're having, and also then you might have to go for loans. And that's why that credit loss ratio is so important. It shows that, you know, the consumer is quite, you know, in a tough space right now. Continuing, you know, even though inflation is cooled off slightly, however, continuing at these high inflation rate numbers, it could become dire, especially for even companies such as Nedbank and other banks who benefit from a high interest environment.
Now, a company that's under a lot of strain is Sibanye-Stillwater, reporting a 37 billion rand loss after taking an impairment against its US palladium mine. I mean, the PGM miners haven't been faring well in this kind of environment, with those lower metal prices also eating into their numbers. I don't know, I think Sibanye is fairly worse in the bunch.
When it comes to Sibanye is, I don't know what happened with them. They need to consult someone. However, I mean, they had the strike as well, where they lost many days of productivity. And you know, the business is just in a very tough predicament. Not only, as you said, PGM metals were suffering last year. The turnaround, you know, we're not really seeing it in the PGM prices at the moment. And that could be further unfortunate news for the business going forward. I mean, and we saw that the company also announced that they are not going to be offering a final dividend this time around. So, I mean, that the business is definitely struggling right now, and all they have to do, besides cost cutting, which they are, they also laid off a few people, a couple of, not more than just a few. You know, they really trying their best just to stay above the water right now.
Let's move on to some companies that did well in this kind of environment, starting off with Curro posting numbers, and they're proving to be resilient in this tough environment. Lender numbers up 2%, revenue up 15%. The group also accounted for impairments during the period that hurt its earnings per share, but that headline earnings per share and that recurring headline earnings per share also up double-digit numbers. What did you make of the full-year performance?
Cura has been doing very well. I think, especially across the board, including other educational stocks as well. Education has been doing quite well recently. We are seeing that despite, the challenging environment we're in, parents are willing to sacrifice to have their kids go to these private institutions. In terms of the revenue and the results that they released today, double-digit growth is not something to sleep to look lightly on. It's very good, and I think everything accounted for. They have had a very strong year, and they released a trading update a few weeks ago as well, stating that they were expecting more learners to come in. And what helped them in particular this time is they did raise tuition fees by around 12%, and that I believe also played a major role in the underlying revenue that they got.
It's interesting to see how South African consumers are navigating this kind of environment and also choosing what's a bit more important to them, whereas they are willing to go the extra mile or spend the extra rand on private schooling. Odwa, your stock pick is also a company that released earnings today, also shooting the lights out. What's that?
It is Shoprite. Shoprite is my stock of the day. The business is just doing very well. As you rightfully said, they have been shooting out the lights. Double-digit growth as well. When you look at the business, revenue is up about 14%, and they're taking quite a lot of market share, as we can see. The other retailers are not faring as well in this environment. They also did expand a few stores across South Africa, so that's also playing out very well for them. Also, if you look at the 60/60, they also grew their usage of the app about 60%. So growth all around for the business, and that's why it's my stock pick today.
Odwa, thanks so much for joining us today. And just wrapping up the day's market moves, that was Odwa Magwentshu from Trive Investments.